Okay, let's dive in. Imagine your whole foundation just pulled out from under you. Not by some, random event, but by the people you trusted the most.
Yeah, it's a tough scenario. And we have this really powerful account from a listener who, well, went through exactly that. A story of just profound betrayal, spouse, and immediate family.
Right, and this isn't just like a standard breakup story, is it?
No, not at all. The source material we're looking at, it's raw. It gets into these really intricate layers of broken trust, marriage, yes, but also your core family, your sister, your parents.
And it details hitting absolute rock bottom and then the sheer grit it takes to rebuild everything. Literally everything. When it feels like everyone, or at least the people who should be there, are against you.
Exactly. So our mission in this deep dive is to really walk through this individual's journey. We're going to look at those key moments of betrayal exactly as they're described in the source.
Try to understand the motivations, at least as they're presented. And, crucially, trace that path of resilience. Because it wasn't just about surviving, right? He actually built the whole new life.
That's the core of it. Understanding that whole arc, the fall, the fight back, and then forging these like really powerful new boundaries, getting the entire story.
So where does it start? The before.
Okay, so the protagonist, he's 34, a mechanic, describes his life as, pretty solid, maybe not fancy, but stable.
He was with his wife, Jessica, for 10 years, married for 6, rented house, normal routine, built on hard work, plans for the future.
Yeah, the source paints that picture of normalcy, right? Perceived security. He wasn't rich, but felt grounded, putting in the hours, thinking they were this team moving forward.
That feeling of stability is so key to understanding the shock that came next.
Absolutely, because the shock was intense. He talks about the moment it all just collapsed.
He came home early one day, planning to surprise Jessica.
And instead, he finds her in their bed with the neighbor.
Oof. And what strikes you immediately in the source is how he describes her reaction.
Right. Not shame. He says it was. Annoyance. Annoyance at being caught.
Which is just stark.
Yeah.
It suggests, whatever connection was there or the pretense of it was long gone for her.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a slip-up. It was more like an established reality he just walked in on.
Mm-hmm. Makes the discovery even harsher.
So the aftermath was pure chaos. Arguments, him saying she gave just fake excuses. He ends up crashing on his friend Mike's couch.
And then he finds the messages.
Yeah. Showing this wasn't new. It wasn't a one-off thing. It had apparently been going on for months, almost back to the beginning of the marriage, according to the source.
Years, potentially.
So divorce, which he calls a nightmare. Jessica reportedly trying to take everything, even his car, from before they were married.
And his lawyer felt outmatched by her shark lawyer, as he put it. It just adds that legal financial stripping away on top of the emotional devastation.
But he says the betrayal that actually cut the deepest wasn't even Jessica.
Which is saying something, after all that.
It was his own sister, Amber. She's 29, single mom of 2. He says they were always close. He'd always helped her out. School supplies for the kids, car repairs, even helped with her rent sometimes.
See, this is where it gets into that really painful family dynamic territory, right?
Yep.
You expect certain loyalties there, especially with that history of support he described.
Absolutely. So her siding with Jessica,
Yeah.
it was just shocking to him.
And the source details the alleged reasons why. Jessica was apparently buying Amber things, clothes, dinners, offering free babysitting.
Yeah, and the big one. Promising to introduce Amber to this supposedly rich friend of the neighbor. Basically, a potential sugar daddy.
So the story presents it as Amber trading loyalty for a perceived financial advantage. It becomes transactional.
Yeah, he felt she just completely sold him out.
And her justification when he confronted her?
Unbelievable. Things like, you must have pushed her to cheat. And men don't understand what a woman wants.
Wow. Just incredibly dismissive, blaming him, invalidating his pain entirely. That's rough coming from your own sister.
He says that was the moment he felt utterly alone. Hung up, blocked her number, decided right then he had to rebuild his life completely on his own terms.
And that rebuilding started from, rock bottom. After the divorce, he took what little he had left, moved into the absolute cheapest place he could find.
He calls it a shoebox with a bathroom. Smelled like old cat. Just bleak.
That description really lands. The physical space reflecting the internal despair. Going from a home even rented to that, it highlights the sheer scale of the loss.
He describes that first night just sitting there thinking about how 6 months earlier he was married, had a home, thought his sister had his back. And now, this disbelief.
And then there was the social media aspect, adding insult to injury.
Oh yeah. Jessica and Amber, suddenly inseparables, best friends online, posting pictures, captions like living their best life, free from toxic people.
Meaning him, obviously.
Obviously, including a trip to a beach they had always dreamed of going to but couldn't afford when they were together. Suddenly affordable once he was gone, he notes.
That public performance, it's like ongoing psychological warfare almost.
Mm-hmm.
Designed to make him feel like he was the problem, the obstacle to their happiness, just twisting the knife.
And even his parents, not much support there either, according to him.
What was their reaction?
Telling him to fix things with Jessica. Marriage is compromise.
Even after finding out about the affair?
Yep. His mother's response was apparently just, relations are complicated, made him feel like he was the bad guy for not wanting to stay with someone who lied for years.
So more isolation, no validation, just pressure to reconcile. Compounding that feeling that his pain just wasn't seen, wasn't taken seriously by his own family.
Okay, so then comes this turning point. The source really flags this moment. About a month into living in the tiny apartment, he's at the supermarket.
Buying the cheapest food, right? Instant noodles, basic stuff.
Exactly. And who does he run into?
Amber.
And her cart, he says, is overflowing with expensive snacks and treats. Stark contrast.
And she approaches him.
Yeah. Starts with this fake concern, apparently.
Yeah.
Comments on how terrible he looks. Asks about what he's eating. Pointing at his cheap groceries.
Condescending.
Then immediately pivots to talking about Jessica and her new boyfriend, the neighbor, and how generous he is.
Right.
And then, the kicker.
What did she say?
Something like, Jessica explained why your marriage didn't work. You really should have paid more attention to her needs.
To his face while he's buying instant noodles. Wow.
And then, pointing at his basket, suggests maybe her new connection, the neighbor's rich friend, could, buy you something other than what's in this cart.
That is just incredibly cruel. Just layer upon layer of cruelty there. Justification, condescension, leveraging his poverty. It's provocation, pure and simple.
His reaction, he didn't say a single word.
Smart, probably wise.
Left his basket right there, walked out of the store. And that night, he says, he made a decision.
This was the catalyst.
Totally.
Yeah.
No more self-pity. He decided he was going to rebuild his life so successfully, they would absolutely regret saying those things. First, concrete goal. Buy his own place.
And that's a powerful shift. From passive despair, which is understandable, to this active resolve. That humiliation lit a fire. A tangible goal security, something his.
And from that point on, the source describes just a relentless grind.
What did that look like?
Up at 5 a.m. for the gym. At the garage by 6:30 a.m. Working until 6 or 7 p.m., sometimes later, cheap dinner. Then hitting online accounting courses until he basically passed out.
Wow. Plus side jobs.
Yeah, weekend side jobs, fixing cars in parking lots. He acknowledges it wasn't strictly legal, but it was necessary for extra cash. Just pure focus.
That intense work becomes like a shield, right? A distraction, but also the path forward. Channeling all that pain into something productive, building something real.
His boss at the garage, Rick, noticed. Started giving him way more responsibility parts. Orders, customers, scheduling, even interviews. Soon, he was basically managing operations.
Rick asked him what was driving him so hard.
And his answer was simple. Trying to buy a house.
And Rick's reaction?
Just simple encouragement. Good goal. Nothing like owning your own home. But he says, given the total lack of family support, that little bit of validation from his boss meant a huge amount.
I bet. Sometimes that's all it takes.
The online courses were apparently really tough at first. He struggled. But he just kept at it, studying during breaks, watching videos, flashcards, the whole deal.
And eventually it clicked.
Yeah. And he started applying it, using what he learned, Excel and stuff, to analyze the garage's business. Which repairs were most profitable, repeat customers, best suppliers.
That's smart. Take an initiative.
He showed the analysis to Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick was apparently amazed, which led to this totally life-changing question.
Which was?
Rick mentioned he was thinking about retiring in a few years and asked if he might want to buy the garage. Maybe work out a payment plan.
Whoa. Okay, so now there's a second major goal.
Exactly. Owning the business. A huge step up. Born directly from his own hard work and initiative. Control over his professional life, the place he'd found some stability.
So things really started moving fast then.
Got a year into this intense routine, yeah. He was practically running the garage. Revenue was up like 30%.
Right.
He was saving every penny he didn't absolutely need.
Social life probably non-existent.
Completely. But he had the plan. Focused.
And meanwhile, what about Jessica and Amber? He started hearing things.
Through his friend Mike, yeah, who was still connected to Jessica's cousin or something. The rumors were, well, Not great for them. The neighbor apparently dumped Jessica after just 2 months. Amber's supposed sugar daddy turned out to be broke. They were struggling financially, having spent the divorce money and quit their jobs, apparently.
So consequences catching up.
Seems like it. He notes in the source he didn't laugh or say serves them right, just nodded, focused on his work. But internally, yeah, a definite feeling of satisfaction, like, okay, karma's doing its thing.
Understandable. His hard, honest path was proving more sustainable than their, let's say, opportunistic one.
Then Rick formalized the garage sale plan, agreed on a multi-year payment structure.
Hey.
And around the same time, he did it. He used his savings for a down payment.
Bought the house.
Bought the house. Modest, 3-bedroom, decent neighborhood. But it was his.
Huge milestone.
And guess who messaged him the day he signed the papers?
Let me guess. Amber.
Bingo. First message in ages. Hey, thinking we should reconnect. Families should stick together. Miss you.
The timing, wow. Calculated, you think? Less about genuine remorse, more about her situation changing.
That's certainly how he interpreted it in the source. He was busy planning the move, didn't reply immediately.
Then another twist with the garage.
Yeah, Rick visited him one night, said he and his wife needed to move sooner for health reasons, wanted to accelerate the garage sale plan, finalize it within 2 years, not 5.
Whoa, pressure's on. Was he worried Rick might sell to someone else?
Briefly. But Rick reassured him, we'll find a way. Payment plan, you take over gradually. Prefer to sell to someone who cares. So, more trust building there.
Good.
They sketched out an agreement to finalize ownership by Christmas. More sacrifices needed, but doable. Owning the business before 35. Worth it.
Incredible turnaround.
As he's locking up the garage that night, feeling pretty good, another message from Amber comes through.
This time.
Angry tone. Seriously, you gonna ignore me after all I've done for you?
After all she'd done, the entitlement is staggering. Framing his boundary as an offense against her, zero self-awareness.
He says he resisted the urge to just list everything she'd done. Or get angry back.
What did he do?
Sent a super vague, non-committal reply. Something like, busy with work, talk later. Knowing full well later was never going to happen. He was consciously disengaging.
Smart. Strategic. Protecting his peace, his future, no more emotional reactions.
He looked around his tiny apartment that night, filled with boxes, and just felt proud. He'd done it, built this himself, when they all expected him to fail.
That quiet moment of triumph, acknowledging the journey, the independence.
Then a small snag with the house sale. The seller tried to back out for a better offer. But the agent reassured him the contract was solid, just delayed things slightly. Annoying, but after everything else, he wasn't letting that stop him.
Right. Perspective.
So 3 days before the rescheduled move, Amber shows up, unannounced, at his apartment door.
Oh, boy. Here we go.
And she looked different, disheveled, panicked, a real contrast to that supermarket encounter.
Desperation kicking in, need driving her actions now.
He hesitated, just asked, "What do you want, Amber?" Stayed in the doorway. Reminded her pretty pointedly about that supermarket conversation a year ago.
Good memory, setting the tone.
Her fake casualness just evaporated.
Yeah.
Started admitting mistakes, saying Jessica filled my head with lies, apologizing.
Convenient timing for the apology tour.
He asked directly where Jessica was now. What about all those gifts? Amber admitted they didn't hang out anymore. Jessica had her own struggles.
Translation, Jessica wasn't useful to her anymore.
Then she spotted the boxes. "You're moving." He tells her, yeah, he bought a house. 3 bedrooms, he says, she exclaimed.
And you can just see the wheels turning in her head.
Immediately, she launches into her sob story, getting evicted, rents are too high, and then the proposal. Maybe she and the kids could move in with him, help each other out. She'd help with bills when she found work.
Wow. Just the nerve. After a year of betrayal and silence, just expects to move into the house he earned through hell. Opportunistic, doesn't even cover it.
His response was instant. Just a flat no.
Good for him.
Her shock was apparently visible. How? No. He just repeated, "You are not living with me. Not now, not ever."
Clear. Unyielding, the boundary is set, no hesitation. He learned his lesson.
So what does she do? She immediately pivots to emotional manipulation.
The tears.
Tears start flowing. And using the kids. What about the children? They'll be homeless because of you. Is that what you want? Calling him selfish.
Ugh, the classic guilt trip. Using the kids as shields, that's low. Trying to bypass his rational boundary with raw emotion.
He says he lost his patience then, but instead of yelling, he actually laughed.
Laughed.
Yeah, because the manipulation was just so blatant, so obvious. He then reminded her exactly where she was when he was at his absolute lowest.
The supermarket.
You were shopping with the woman who ruined my life, laughing at me, calling me a loser behind my back. He just laid it out.
Wow. Confronting her directly with the specific betrayal, that laughter is powerful. It shows he sees right through it. He's not falling for it anymore.
She weakly tried to deny it. That's not what I meant. He started closing the door.
And she put her foot in the way.
Yep. Physically blocked it. Started listing why she couldn't go anywhere else. Parents, Jessica, friends, all no-goes.
Desperate.
He just looked at her and used her own words back at her from that supermarket encounter. Sounds like your problem.
Oh, perfect. Turning her dismissiveness right back around, refusing to take ownership of consequences she created.
He then physically pushed her foot out of the way, closed the door, locked it, ignored her knocking and yelling. She eventually left. He thought, maybe that's the end of it, but had a feeling it wasn't.
Probably not. People that desperate and entitled don't give up easily.
And he was right. The next day, his phone just blew up. Amber, his parents, Amber would obviously run straight to them with her version of the story.
The family pressure campaign begins.
Oh, yeah. Voicemails were classic guilt trips. His mother, I raised you better than this. Family helps family. Completely ignoring they offered zero help during his crisis.
Hypocrisy, much.
His father's was apparently even worse. Son, I'm disappointed. A man takes care of his family. It's your responsibility. Using a house he bought without their help as leverage against him. This is after months of no contact from his dad.
Wow. Using traditional man-of-the-house tropes to guilt him into fixing their problem with Amber. Unbelievable.
He just ignored it all, focused on the move. Then Jessica messages him, breaking her silence.
You're kidding. What did she want?
Claims she was just so worried about Amber and the children, and then accused him of not being the man I married because he wouldn't take them in.
The absolute audacity. Jessica, the one who started this whole mess, lecturing him on character, that takes a special kind of lack of self-awareness.
He'd had enough. He sent one single, final reply to her.
What did it say?
The man you married doesn't exist anymore. You killed him. Don't contact me again. And then blocked her number.
How? That is a statement. Acknowledging the transformation, the death of the person who would tolerate that, and total finality. Good for him.
The family messages then shifted, got more threatening. Mom saying she'd get involved. Dad threatening to come reason with him. Amber switching from pleading to accusing him of showing his true colors, saying he was always selfish.
He felt like he was just done being the family doormat.
Completely. He recognized the escalation, but was resolute. No more guilt, no need for their approval. Boundaries were holding firm.
But the escalation wasn't over, was it?
Nope. Call from Jessica's mother, his ex-mother-in-law.
Oh, they're pulling out all the stops.
Expressing her disappointment, talking about how family comes first. The hypocrisy was just dripping. He realized they were calling literally everyone they knew who might have influence over him.
Pathetic. Desperate. But also, he notes, a little scary. Like, how far would they actually go?
Exactly. So he took precautions. Called the real estate agent, explained the family issues, asked if they could speed up the closing. The agent agreed to try.
Smart. Proactive.
Called Rick, his boss.
Yeah.
Told him the whole story. Rick was totally understanding, even offered him a place to stay if things got bad.
Building that chosen family, the real support system.
Called Mike, his friend. Recounted the latest drama. Mike immediately offered to help him pack and be there during the move, just in case someone attempted a surprise appearance.
That's a good friend.
And Mike validated him too, saying, they're only coming back now because you're succeeding. Where were they when you were sleeping on my couch? Which really resonated. Support outside of blood ties.
Crucial. Then good news from the agent.
Yeah, that afternoon. Closing accelerated. He could move in 48 hours early.
Nice.
And he made a strategic call. Do not tell the family about the early move.
Right.
Let them think he'd still be the old, empty apartment for a few more days.
While he'd actually be in the new house, locks changed. Maybe even security installed.
Exactly. Leave no forwarding address. Smart, protective, using information or lack thereof to his advantage.
So, moving day. He leaves the old shoebox behind, gets to the new house.
He describes it not some mansion, just a normal house. But to him, it was everything. Safety, independence, the result of all that sacrifice.
That first evening there must have felt amazing.
He says he just sat on the back terrace, watched the stars, and felt like he could finally breathe. Real peace. For the first time in what felt like forever. A moment of quiet celebration.
Earned it. But knowing them, the peace probably wouldn't last long without testing the waters.
He knew. So he decided to post pictures of the new house on Facebook. New chapter, new home. He admits part of him wanted them to see it.
Reclaiming the narrative. A public statement of, I made it despite you.
Friends, colleagues, all congratulating him, likes, comments. Then the private messages started rolling in from the family.
Predictable. What did they say?
Father. Disappointed he was flaunting his success while his sister was in need. Mother. Calling him intentionally cruel.
Framing his success as an attack on them, still completely missing the point or refusing to see it.
And Amber.
She posted this long, dramatic public Facebook post. Didn't tag him, but it was obvious who she meant. All about how money changes people, makes them selfish.
Standard deflection and playing the victim. He didn't engage online at all. Just focused on settling in, focused on the garage. Business was doing well. Rick was planning his retirement. The takeover was on track for the next year. He felt genuinely happy. Not just surviving, living, evolving, as he put it. And Alden alone.
His focus remained internal, on his progress, not their drama. That's key.
But they weren't quite done trying. His mother called. Got through because it was from a new number he didn't recognize. He thought it was a client. He answers. Hears that familiar, reproachful tone. Finally, you answer. Immediately starts in about him ignoring calls while sitting in his huge house.
Minimizing his achievement again.
He corrected her, laughing slightly. It's a modest 3-bedroom, not exactly huge, and certainly not empty. Her response, you have a space, they need space, it's that simple.
Reducing years of betrayal and struggle down to a simple square footage problem, ignoring all context.
So he challenged her directly. Where was all this family concern when I lost everything? When Jessica betrayed me?
Then her response.
Silence first, then softly. It was different. Different how? That's what he asked. How was it different? Her answer revealed everything. You're a man. Men get through it. Amber has children.
There it is. The explicit double standard. His suffering was dismissed. He's a man. He should suck it up. Her actions get excused. She gets compassion because she has kids, even though she contributed to his crisis.
He just laid it all out then. Detailed the 2 years of brutal hard work. The 80-hour weeks, studying after 12-hour days, living in that awful apartment. All alone, he emphasized, without help, especially not yours.
Forcing them to confront the reality they'd ignored.
He stated clearly, Amber wasn't living with him because she made her choice when she sided with Jessica. Now she faces the consequences of that choice.
Holding her accountable, standing firm.
His mother tried the people make mistakes line. He replied that some mistakes have consequences that a simple sorry doesn't erase.
True. Especially when the sorry only comes when they need something.
She played the kid card again. Are you going to punish the children too? He says he felt a pang. He loved his nephew and niece, but saw the manipulation for what it was. Letting Amber in meant endless support, enabling her.
Recognizing the long-term trap. It wasn't just temporary help she wanted.
So he flipped it, pointed out they have a 4-bedroom house. Why couldn't the kids stay there?
Calling their bluff. What did they say?
Revealing silence again. Then the admission. Oh, your father and I are too old for that. We need our quiet.
Unbelievable. Their own comfort trumped their grandchildren's immediate housing need. They wanted him to take the burden they wouldn't shoulder themselves.
His conclusion was stark. They just wanted to use his house as a convenient depot for Amber and her problems so they wouldn't have to deal with it.
Exposing their self-interest completely.
His final statement to her was perfect. Well, I need quiet too. After these last 2 years, I think I've earned it.
Using their own logic against them. Asserting his right to the peace he fought so hard for.
Her parting shot, it's not over. His internal confirmation, yeah, she was probably right.
And she was. Because the very next day,
Amber showed up. At the new house, car in the driveway, kids and bags in tow, sitting on his porch, claimed she'd been evicted, had nowhere else to go.
just pure audacity, the physical challenge to his boundary. Using the kids as the ultimate emotional shield.
Her tone was provocative. You're not really going to let your own nephew and niece sleep in the street, are you?
Maximum guilt induction. Testing his resolve to the limit.
He stayed firm, told her to leave, asked why she wasn't at Mom and Dad's. She admitted they refused, said they were too old, asked about Jessica. Nope, they weren't stinking anymore. What a surprise, he thought.
Systematically dismantling her options, showing this was the consequence of her own burned bridges.
Then she just unleashed on him, verbal lashing.
What does she say?
Called him a total bastard. Said success hadn't changed him. He was still the same loser Jessica cheated on. And that's why Jessica cheated. Who would want to stay with someone so selfish and cold?
Wow. Just raw, bitter, cruel insults, trying to tear him down, rewrite history, justify everything by attacking his fundamental worth. That's hitting below the belt.
He said in that moment, any lingering shred of guilt he might have felt just evaporated. He saw the real Amber, decided to act decisively.
What did he do?
Told her, very coldly, to get off his property now, where he was calling the police. No hesitation, no anger, just ice.
And she believed him.
Apparently, she saw something in his face that convinced her. She started gathering her things, but not without a final dramatic performance for the kids. Come on, kids. Your uncle doesn't want us here. We'll manage alone, just like always.
Still manipulating, still playing the victim, even in defeat, taking zero accountability.
He expected peace after that, maybe, but realized they probably wouldn't give up that easily. So he took another proactive step.
Restraining order.
Went to the sheriff's office, got a restraining order against her for trespassing. Found the process easier than he thought. The agent advised him, get cameras.
Good advice.
Installed them the same day. Covered the whole property, motion alerts on his phone. His plan was, if she showed up again, he'd call the police before she even got out of the car.
Actively defending his space now. Legal and physical boundaries reinforced. Sophisticated self-protection.
Then, just when he thought maybe things were settling, Jessica reappeared.
No way. At the new house.
Around midnight, he saw a silhouette on his steps. Said she looked like a ghost compared to her old Instagram persona. Disheveled, dark circles, seemed smaller.
Reality catching up hard. The curated image collapsing.
Her voice was weak.
Matt! I didn't know where else to go.
And his reaction.
He just laughed. Out loud. At the sheer audacity of it. His response. That's not my problem anymore.
Direct. No room for negotiation. Refusing to re-engage or take responsibility for her situation.
She begged him to just listen. Admitted mistakes. Said she thought she controlled everything, but realized she didn't. Spun her story, the neighbor left her. Took everything apparently. She lost her job, lost her apartment. Her own mother wanted her out.
A full accounting of the consequences crashing down. Her carefully constructed world fell apart.
His response was simple, blunt. That's called karma. And he turned to go inside.
Didn't mince words.
She tried to stop him, actually grabbed his arm, started pleading, I loved you, we had something real, asking if he felt a void without her. Last-ditch effort. Trying to pull on old heartstrings, elicit pity, reestablish any connection.
He just looked her right in the eye. Smiled slightly, he says.
Yeah.
And gave a simple one-word answer. No.
Oof, final.
Closed the door. Locked it. Said he felt absolutely no pity. Listened to her cry outside for a while until she finally left. She was just another person from his past trying to cling on. That door was closed. Permanently.
That's the ultimate closure with the primary source of the betrayal. Complete rejection. No lingering emotion. Just done. Literal and symbolic.
But wait, there's more. 2 days later, his parents showed up. Unannounced. Probably kept off by Amber or Jessica.
The final offensive.
His mother walked in confidently. Father looked stern. Demand to talk. He let them in just to get it over with.
What was their angle this time?
Straight to Amber's situation again. How she needed a place. How a real son would help. Ignoring his boundaries completely.
Still trying the guilt tactic.
He countered immediately. Highlighted the irony. Where were they when he was sleeping on a couch after being cheated on for years? His mother got stiff. Repeated the, it's different line. He's a man. Amber has kids.
Doubling down on the double standard.
He pushed back hard. Reminded them. He told Amber to go to their 4-bedroom house. Pointed out their need for quiet was apparently more important than their own grandchildren's needs. Accused them straight up of wanting him to be responsible only when it suited them.
Calling out the hypocrisy, the self-interest, the convenient application of family duty, holding them accountable for their choices too.
How did his father react to that? Stood up, voice cold, called him selfish, said money had changed him, that he wasn't the son they raised.
The ultimate condemnation from a parent. Framing his hard-won independence and boundaries as a moral failing, their last attempt to control him through disapproval.
He said those words hit him, but not in the way they intended.
How so?
He looked his father right in the eye and agreed with him. You're right. I'm not the son you raised.
Oh, turning it around.
He then described the old him, the son they raised, the one who would let guilt control him, sacrifice everything for people who gave nothing back, let family walk all over him, the doormat.
Defining who he used to be.
And then, looking them both straight in the eye, he declared, but that man is dead, and you'd better leave.
Powerful. A declaration of independence, a statement of transformation, defining his new self for himself, right in their faces, asserting his power in his own space.
His mother tried one last dramatic shot. You'll regret this someday, his reply. Confident, calm, I doubt it. Held the door open. They left in silence.
That's the definitive break. On his terms, in his house. Secure in the knowledge that his path, the hard, lonely one, led him to strength and authenticity. He doesn't need their approval anymore.
Standing there in his own home, turning the key in the lock after they left, he said he had this profound realization. No one left trying to pull him down.
He was finally, truly free. Free from the past, the manipulation, the expectations, the people who tried to define him. He'd reclaimed everything, his life, his space, his self.
What a journey. From just devastating betrayal, hitting absolute rock bottom, through that relentless, solitary grind of rebuilding, to finally achieving not just independence, but real success. It's an incredible arc. Victim to architect of his own life.
Absolutely. And the takeaways here for you listening are pretty potent. It starkly highlights how deep betrayal can cut, especially from family, and how incredibly hard but vital setting and enforcing boundaries is for your own survival and well-being.
Yeah, even when it's family. And it really underscores that power of channeling despair into concrete action, focusing on goals, work, skills, saving as a tangible path forward when everything else feels like it's gone. It's not just surviving, it's building.
And the uncomfortable truth the source presents. Sometimes rebuilding means cutting ties. Consciously deciding that people who were once central, even close family, have to be removed if they're consistently sources of pain, manipulation, or just obstacles to your healing and progress, especially if they weren't there when you needed them most.
It's also a clear illustration of consequences, isn't it? For the betrayers, Jessica, Amber, whose lives, according to the source, seem to unravel after their opportunistic choices. And for him, who built something solid and lasting through sheer hard work and integrity.
Right, and it challenges those ingrained ideas about strength and duty. His parents' definition, a man takes care of his family, was used as a tool of manipulation. His actual strength came from taking care of himself first, building self-sufficiency, refusing to be their doormat, especially after they offered him zero support.
The source ends with that powerful feeling of freedom he experiences, which leaves us with a question, maybe for you to think about. Are there any boundaries in your own life, perhaps difficult ones, that you might need to set or reinforce to protect your own future, your own well-being?
Yeah, how do you navigate that really complex balance between loyalty to partners, family, friends, and the absolute necessity of self-preservation? It's definitely something worth considering.